Well, hello there, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're safe and well. In this video, I'll be looking at the first steps that I've been taking to start Benchrest shooting. So let's roll those titles, shall we? A few weeks ago in video 52, when I introduced my FTP 900, you may remember that I said this.
Now, the reason that I need the higher magnification is I thought that I'd give Benchrest a go because I've got the perfect rifle for it, this FTP 900.
So in this video then, I'm going to show you all the bits and pieces that I've been up to try and progress this idea of doing some 25-yard Benchrest shooting with the FTP 900. I'm going to look at some of the changes that I've made to, or additions to the rifle. I'm going to look at show you how I've created some practice targets that I can use on the garden range. What else is there? Show you what I've done to adjust my shooting table to make it better for Benchrest. And also I'm going to look at some of the things I've been doing to see how I can get the best accuracy from the rifle. And then finally we'll talk about the stock, because I think I'm going to have to sort of do something about the stock to help my journey as well. So let's get started, shall we? So in that video that I just showed you a clip from then, towards the end when I was shooting at Cambridge Gun Club, I mentioned that I was using my Arcan Optics scope because it was the largest magnification I had, which was only 16 times. And I realised when I started looking at the sort of targets that you shoot in Benchrest, that and looking at what everybody was using, that I needed a lot more magnification. So I did some research and decided that the ideal entry level scope for me would be the Vector Sentinel X, which is a 10 to 40 by 15 millimeter scope, and it's a well regarded scope that is produced specifically for 25 meter Benchrest. So then came the subject of how do I pay for it. And so I noticed online that Pete's Airgun Farm in Essex was having a boot sale. So what I did is I went round my my room and cobbled together all the bits and pieces of airgun stuff that I bought that I thought was a good idea at the time, and things that are fallen out of use, and put together a collection of bits and pieces. And so on the 27th of July, I went down there Saturday morning, had to get up early, which is unusual for me. And with the sole intention, I thought, well, if I can raise a couple of £100 through selling these bits and pieces, then I can buy myself a Benchrest scope. Well, my luck was with me, and I actually had a fantastic morning there. If I met you, because I did meet a few subscribers and video viewers, and it was great chatting with everybody. So if I met you there, it was good to meet you. Enjoyed meeting you, and we had a good chat probably. So yeah, I made a bit more money than well, quite a bit more than I thought. So that sort of like opened the doors to sort of moving up market a bit more, because say the Vector Sentinel is is quite a budget scope. So with new cash in hand, I went on to the Airability Facebook group, which if you're interested in finding more about Benchrest, I would recommend it. Such a helpful, friendly bunch of people there, always willing to provide advice and help you out. So I went on there, started asking some questions, and one of the members on there offered me a scope which was much better than what I was looking at. It would still have been out of my range, even with the money that I raised from the boot sale. But because he was selling it to me second hand, I got it at a good price, and so that is the way that I went. And so instead of the Vector Sentinel X, I ended up with the Sightron SII 36 by 42 scope, which again is a Benchrest scope, but it's a fixed magnification of 36 times. And apparently it's pretty good. Seems to work okay for me anyway. So let's take a look, shall we? So this is my new Sightron scope then. The let's get this right, the S2 36 by 42. So we've got a fixed magnification of 36 times, and you've got a 42mm diameter objective. Just to show you around, it's pretty straightforward, to be honest. You've got two turrets, windage and elevation. Now the difference with this scope is because obviously you need the precision to zero into a 2mm diameter bullseye, whereas a normal scope, each click would be a quarter MOA. On this scope, each click is 1/8 MOA, so you can actually get a little bit more precision when you're zeroing in. At the back end, this whole back rear lens is a diopter that twists, and there is a locking ring, so you can lock your setting there. And then at the front, we've got the adjustable objective to obviously set your parallax, set your focus. I'll show you the reticle later on, because I'll do a bit of filming through the scope just to show you, you know, some of the challenges when you're shooting with this with the maximum magnification. But it's a floating dot reticle with horizontal and vertical crosshairs. There are no other marks on the reticle, so there are no sort of like mil dot marks for hold over or hold under, and it is a very, very fine reticle. And I did find that I needed to take quite a bit of time to set the ocular to get the reticle perfectly in focus, because it's so fine. Obviously, you know, a little bit more of a job than not on normal scopes. So that is the scope then. Other things that I've adjustments I've made to the rifle on this stock, you can't see, but on this side I've fitted a spirit level just to make sure that I'm upright and you know, no cant when I'm shooting. And also you'll notice, which we'll talk about when we look at the front rest, I've added this block of wood. At the moment it's not too great because it's the UIT rail in the stock moves a little bit, so even though I've bolted to that, I've got to look at trying to tighten up the screws that in the UIT rail where it goes into the stock without sort of over tightening and stripping them. But I'll explain what the block's for when we look at the front rests. So that's the first part then, the scope. As I say, I'll try and get a little bit of footage through the scope with my side cam, so you can have a look to see you know, what it looks like at 36 times magnification and how everything moves around an awful lot because it's magnified so much. Okay, so you're looking through you're looking for the scope of the rifle. The rifle's sitting on the bench on the rests. Nothing is touching it. The only thing that is interfering with the rifle at the moment is the breeze, because we're out in the garden. So all this movement is the wind blowing against the rifle. So you can see how much movement there is with that magnification, and you can see how fine the reticle is. If I just tap the rifle, just the slightest tap, you can see there the movement. So you can see that the gun isn't locked in the rests at all. It's free to move, and it does move quite a bit. This is just the rifle, not me touching it. So there you go, just so you can see what the reticle's like down the rifle and how big the target is. Those bullseyes, they're 2mm diameter, so you know, that dot
in the crosshairs just about fits inside them, and that's what I wanted to show you.
Now, when I take on a new interest, I'm probably not like most people. I do get a little bit carried away, a bit like a sponge. I like to soak up as much, find out as much information, soak up as much information and new knowledge as I can. So I downloaded the World Benchrest rules, and this is a page from them here. This is Appendix E about targets, and as you can see here, it shows one portion of a target, and it gives you the size of the rings. So what that enabled me to do is to open up my my desktop publishing software and create a 25-meter Benchrest target on a 17-centimeter piece of paper, which is what we've got here. You can see I've got the sighters down the side, and I've got the 25 targets, because in a Benchrest competition you have 20 minutes to shoot 25 targets. So you'll notice, because of the size, I haven't got all of the rings, but really we're only interested in the 10-9-8 ring, I guess, really on here. And then what that enables me to do is to take any 17 centimeter targets that I've bought that have clear backing, turn them over, stick them through my printer, and print out a target. And at the same time as doing this, I also printed out some practice targets, which I will show you, which obviously are just the bullseye and the 9 ring. Having used these a bit, I think I need to sort of modify them slightly. The targets are a bit too close to the edge of the paper, so when I'm shooting these ones, there's a danger of me hitting the target holder, so I need to sort of come in a line. And also they're a little bit close together, so if you do get a bit of a flyer, sometimes the pellet will move across to the second target and then stops you shooting that one, so I need to space these out. But so that's what I've done with respect to the targets then, that I've been using to try and find the best accuracy from the FTP 900, and then sort of trying to, at the same time, trying to zero the scope in. Printing these targets is pretty easy then. Just take your target that you want to print on with a clear backing, offer that up to your need to set the printer page size up to 17 square centimeters. So as you can see here, it's going to print out on A4. So you go into properties, paper size, and then you're looking for custom user defined, set in there, and then we'll go 170mm by 170mm. Click OK, and now when we print, ignore that, and you can see that the page size has been set. Click on print. Then we have our new target. Simples. Now what you see here is the sawhorse that was providing the the legs for my shooting table previously, but as you can see, the table top went on top, and it was just held on with the 2 bolts. This is adjustable leg sawhorse that I got from Machine Mart for about 20 quid. As you can see, it's not very stable, and I did notice in the FTP 900 video that I did that the thing was moving out a bit, and somebody even commented on it in the comments that it wasn't very stable. So it was time to take these legs off and do something to make it a little bit firmer for the Benchrest. So that's what I did. I decided to make some wooden legs
had these bits of wood in my wood pile. These are the side panels off of an old bed that held the slats that supported the mattress, and they looked ideal for the job. So I've made these legs, you see, braced off. Put the brace on the side there just to give it a bit more support. I mean, it still does move a little bit, but it's a lot better than it was. Went for the 3 legs because it's much easier to find a stable base with 3 legs and 4, you know, where it rocks and you've got to like level the legs and everything. I know the previous legs were adjustable and folded in, but I found that I didn't fold them in very often. And although this is a bit heavier than those other legs, it's still easy enough to move around and get in and out of the shed. So definitely an improvement. Not as good as if I had a proper steel support, leg support, and a really thick solid top. Then I probably wouldn't be able to sort of like carry that around so easily. So an improvement, not ideal, but it's certainly an improvement of what I had.
Okay, we're back in the shed then. Just want to show you what I've done with the front and rear rest. Let's start with the front rest then. You've seen this in other videos. This is what I've replaced my my bag of rice with, and this is the stock support that came with it. Now the problem with this is that it's quite narrow here. It takes the stock in, the stock rolls around, you don't get the support that you need. So what I've done is I've replaced this with this Caldwell wide pad, which is filled with sand, and you can see that you can get a wider platform there. And if you remember when I showed you the rifle, I had that block of wood, and that block of wood, you can have a block like that on the front of your, attached to your front of your rifle. I think in the rules it's up to 3 inches or 75mm, and I think the one that I've got on there is about 60. So as you can see, having that flat platform, the rifle sits a lot firmer, doesn't roll around so much. It's not locked in, it still has to move according to the rules, but it's fitting on a much firmer base. So that's what I've done with the front rest. Let's move that to one side and bring in the rear rest. So this is what I was using before, which came with you know, my rice bag, and this is filled with rice as well. But you'll notice that the wings that stick up here, that the butt goes in, they're at an angle, and really we want something that's up like that with a flat base so that you get that stability. So what I've done is I bought a new rear bag. This is filled with sand, so it's a bit heavier, and you've got the wings there, and you can see that it provides a flatter, more stable base for the stock to go in. The only problem that I have with the current stock, I'll probably mention that a little bit later as well, is that the rear of the stock, the area that you've got to lock into there is only about 1 inch or 1.5 inches long. That causes a bit of an issue, so I've got to look at how I can actually have that a little bit extended. But under the rules, the area that that goes in the bottom there cannot be, I think it can't be wider than 1 inch, and again that has to move, that doesn't lock in. So at no time is your rifle locked anywhere. It's resting and it's moving, but it's resting on a much more stable base than you probably would have for other forms of shooting. So that's the rests then at the moment. Obviously with this front rest, you know, I mean, I can't afford to go down the coaxial route where you have the joystick. This one, if I loosen that off, I can go sort of up and down and lock. I've got no windage adjustment on this, so my windage really is moving the back box around and then squeezing these wings, which
Isn't ideal, but it's a starting point, so we'll just have to see how we get on with that. Just a quick mention then about wind flags. I mean, I wasn't going to include this in this video because I didn't expect them to arrive in time, but what I bought just come in the post this morning, so I thought I'd better do a bit on it, just add it. Now you've seen this is the streamer that I've used before. There's my backstop that I normally shoot at 25 yards, and I've got the bit of streamer up here that shows that gives me an indication of the wind. So that's, you know, that's what I've been using for sort of like assessing wind in the garden. Not ideal really for Benchrest, and did a look online to see where I could get wind flags from, and most of them in America, they're quite expensive. So of course, you know, as the norm on this channel, I wanted to go on the market basement option. So what we've got then for the moment is this. So you can see we've got the stand, and what this is an old this is a music stand, and I've taken the head off that holds the sheet music and drilled a little hole, and I bought these things that just come in the post this morning, and these are wind indicators for that go on yacht masts, so that people are yachting can see what direction the wind's coming in. And I've had it out in the garden here this morning. Seems to be working okay. The only thing that I need to do is I need to make a modification, because obviously if you imagine when it's like that, when it's, you know, when it's a distance from you, because it's quite small, you can't tell straight away whether it's facing you or if it's away from you. But what I'm planning to do is put some little polystyrene balls on the end with the front painted black, and I'll leave the back white, so then I'll be able to tell which direction it's facing. Might think about whether I need to add a streamer or a bit of wool to hang down here as an indicator. But for the moment, I really want to keep things simple, because it's difficult enough as it is without having, you know, too much information, like the extra information about what the wind's doing. So yeah, you can see, look, the wind's starting to blow. It's not too windy today, but you can see how sensitive it is to the wind. So it might work, but certainly it's a cheap introduction to wind flags. So we'll see how we go with it. So I shot the rifle with different arrangements on the end of the barrel. I wanted to try and work out which was the most accurate setup. So you can see down the left hand side, we've got groups associated with me shooting with the new shroud that I had made, and then I removed the shroud. The next set was with a gun tough moderator adapter and the rear arc moderator. The next group was with the gun tough adapter and the 0 dB moderator, and then I switched and I used the mod adapter attachment that came when I bought the rifle with the rear arc moderator, and then again with the 0 dB. Now what I did as well is at the same time I found this app that I could use on the phone to take a picture of the target, and you give it a reference for the distance, and in this case I used the reference of the diameter of the largest ring. And it would analyze all of the pellet holes and give you the size of the groups. So I'll show you a photo of that, how that works. So what it's done in this case, I mean, if you look at these, it's pretty obvious what the best arrangement is. But working along the top line here with the shroud, center to center, the group sizes are 11mm, 14mm, 13mm and 11mm. Dropping down to the next line, we've got 12 here, and as you can see, then it tightens up. We've got a 6, a 6, and then we've got another 12. The next group, we've got a 9, and then for some reason we get a 21. It was a bit weird there. Maybe the wind had something to do with that one. And then it tightens up. Then we've got an 8 and a 10. So if we ignore that wider one there, we've got a 9, 8 and a 10. So it's gradually getting better as we go down. We get down to the next one. We start off with 10mm center to center, and then 3
8mm groups centre to centre, and then get down to the bottom and we go 11, 4, 5 and 7. So from this I come to the conclusion then that that the rifle likes this arrangement of what I've called the fat adapter and the 0 dB moderator. So what I need to do, based on some information that was given by Jeff Mann from Sub 12 Air Gunners, he said that when they had tested the FTP 900, they'd found that it was most accurate with the original Air Arms air stripper on it, which is quite heavy. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to try and add some lead and make this arrangement up to the same weight as that air stripper and see if that makes a difference. So the last thing I want to talk about then is the rifle stock. You might have noticed that the HFT FT formatted stock on the FTP 900 is not ideal for Benchrest, but fortunately I still have the original stock that came with the rifle, which was the left-handed stock with everything removed, so obviously it's going to be a bit lighter. So what I'm planning to do with this, one thing you'd notice is that the bottom of the pistol grip had been cut off. I don't know why that was, but that's shorter, and as you can see that it's almost level with the bottom of the stock here. Now the problem with this stock is that this is too short an area really to fit in between the ears, the bag, the rear bag, but because this has been cut off, what I can do and what I intend to try is get a strip of aluminium that is narrower than the sort of legal limit, which I think I said was 1 inch 25mm, to create a bag rider across this gap, and then screw that in the end there and screw that in there. So then my rear bag can sit here with a proper bag rider. And further to that as well, there's no UIT rail here, so I can make a front block with like a, do they call it a rabbit or something like that? I don't know, but with an extra bit of wood that fits in the channel that I can screw through, so that is much firmer on that front end of the stock, which will give me a lot more stability. I need to weigh things up because obviously I've got to be in below, I think it's 10.5 pounds. You've got to be lighter than 10.5 pounds for the light rifle class. But the scope that I bought is very light, so I'll have to weigh the action and weigh this and see how much tolerance that I've got. But that's what I'm intending to do anyway, and then I can just switch the rifle between stocks depending on what I want to use it for. So that's all good. So that's what I'm planning to do with this stock then anyway. Okay, let's wrap this up then. That's all the bits and pieces that I've got for this one. As you can see, it's early days. I haven't really got the rifle into a position, you know, with the scope zeroed in and the accuracy sorted out, that I can do any proper practice really. I think what I need to do is to get onto an indoor range and get the zeroing set up, and I need to do some tests with some additional lead ballast on the barrel to see if that makes a difference to the accuracy. So that's some more stuff to do. And then start slogging away, working out, well, yeah, I've got to work out which pellets are going to be best to use as well. So there's a lot more testing and fiddling around to do, but that's the sort of aspects that appeal to me, to be honest. You know, being able to twiddle with things and work out what little adjustments make improvements and what don't. So I'll be looking forward to that. And obviously I'll keep you updated in future videos. But anyway, thanks for joining me on this one. I hope you found that interesting, and hopefully see you again on the next one. So from me, that's Bye for now.